Good morning, students. Today's topic is pipelining. So, your pipelining enhances the performance of a system. When a processor executes a program, it follows the instruction cycle, that is the fetch, decode, execute, for each instruction being executed one after another. Now, pipelining is a technique that splits up the sequential process into a number of sub-operations. Each sub-operation is then executed in a sequential dedicated segment that operates concurrently with all other segments. In this technique, execution of multiple instructions can be overlapped. It gives rise to instruction level parallelism. For example, in a linear pipeline, there exists a collection of processing segments. Each segment in the pipeline completes a part of an instruction. The result obtained from the computation in each segment is transferred to the segment next in the pipeline. So pipeline में क्या होता है कि आप you can transfer the output of one segment to another as input of that segment, right? We can divide a problem or we can divide an instruction into number of sub operations, and we can perform each sub operation in a different dedicated segment so that they can operate concurrently with all other segments, right? At the end, we will find the result of each segment, and one result of first segment is fed into another segment as input, and that the result of that segment is fed into another preceding segment, and so on. So the final result can be obtained, right? So this is basically what is pipelining. Then parallelism. It is the process of executing data processing tasks simultaneously by using more than one processor. Parallelisms mean we are using more than one processor, and it is different from a conventional system in which every instruction is to be processed sequentially. In parallel processing, a system can perform concurrent data processing in order to achieve faster execution time. So we can have concurrent data processing in a parallelism. The advantage of parallelism are that the speed of computation increases, as well as second advantage is that throughput also increases. What is throughput? Throughput is the amount of processing that can be accomplished during a given interval of time. How much, that means how much processing has been done in a given interval of time. The only disadvantage of parallel processing is that the cost of hardware increases a lot. Now you can see in this example, this is an example of parallel processing. Here suppose we have given a instruction that is read from a processor register, and we have 5 units in this example. These are 5 functional units: adder, subtractor, integer multiply unit, logic unit, shift unit, and incrementer unit, right? So whenever the instruction comes, then the instruction is given to all these units depending on the type of data or type of operation to be performed. Finally, all these subunits will be performing all the calculations, and the result will be given, and this result will be given to the processor register, that is the accumulator. This way the functioning of a parallel processor works. Now, the factors that affect the performance of a system are time to execute a program, how much time it required to execute a program. It affects the performance of a computer system. Second is average number of clock cycles required per instruction. Third affecting factor is the clock cycle time. Okay. So now what are the goals of parallelism? The goals of parallelism are, first one is to speed computer processing capability. That is the most important crucial goal of a computer, to speed up the processing. So a parallelism increases the processing capability of a computer. Second point, it increases the throughput, that is the output, that is the processing accomplished during a given interval of time. Third is to support the system to perform concurrent data processing for faster execution time, right? So it increases the time, it makes the faster execution, right? Next goal is to perform multiple instructions at the same time in different functional units. We can perform multiple instructions at the same time in different units, different dedicated segments. So these are the goals of segment. Now this is the formula for enhancement of throughput. Sn is equal to Ts by Tp, or Sn is equal to number of computation steps using one processor by number of parallel computation steps while progressing. This is the Sn, or you can say it can also be defined as execution time using uniprocessor system upon execution time using multiprocessor system with n process. So anyway, you can find the speed factor of the parallel system. Now parallelism. Basically, there are two types of parallelism: instruction level parallelism and processor level parallelism. So in parallelism that is done with an individual instruction to get more instructions per second is known as instruction level. In instruction level, we have to divide the instruction into sub operations, right? And in processor level, in parallelism, multiple CPUs are working together to on a same problem. Okay? So example of instruction level, it is a measure of how many operations in a computer program can be performed simultaneously. How many instructions can be performed simultaneously is known as instruction level parallelism. For example, in this example, there are three instructions: A is equal to B plus C, D is equal to E plus F, and G is equal to A into D. Now we can combine, you can see that they are first and second are different operations, they are independent of each other. What we can do in parallelism, we can combine these in a single cycle. The third one is G is equal to A into D, that depends on the output of 1 and 2. That means we cannot combine this in the same cycle. We can combine only 1 and 2 in cycle 1. So this you can write operation 1 and 2 are independent, therefore they can be calculated simultaneously in a cycle. So we can write like this: cycle 1, A is equal to B plus C and D equal to E plus B. This is cycle 1. And what is cycle 2 here? Cycle 2 here now is G equal to A into D. Now second example we can take: load R1, R2, add R5, R6, R7, sub R4, R1, R4, mul R8, R9, R10, ST R11, R12. ठीक है? R4, sorry, R11 and R4. So what is happening here? First and second, you can see these are independent because they are not using same registers, and though both operations are independent, so we can put them in a single cycle, right? Now you can see in the third instruction R4, R1, R4, R1, R4, R1 is coming from this first instruction. So we cannot write this instruction in cycle 1, right? And mul R8, R9 is R10 is also independent of subtraction of this line. So we can combine these two in cycle 2, and this will be the cycle 3. So there will be 3 cycles here. This is cycle 1, LD R1, R2, and add R5, R6, R7. Cycle 2 consists of 2 instructions: sub R4, R1, R2, R4, and mul R8, R9, R10. And third cycle is ST R11 and R4. Okay? So this is how this is done. Now, the broad categories of parallelism are instruction level parallelism and processor level parallelism we have discussed. Now, under instruction level parallelism, there are 2 types of instruction level parallelisms. First is pipelining, another is superscaling. In pipeline, there is again 2 types of pipelining, arithmetic pipeline, and instruction pipeline. Here, processor level parallelism is of three types: array computers, multiprocessor, and multi-computers. Now, instruction level parallelism. First, we will see what is pipelining. Pipelining is a technique of breaking down the sequential process into sub-operations, with each sub-operation being executed in a special dedicated segment and that operates concurrently with all segments. Now you can see in this example, this is an example. The instruction is AI star BI plus CI for I equal to 1 to up to 7. Now this we have to do using pipelining, right? So what we can do is we can take two registers R1 and R2. R1 is for storing the value of AI. R2 is for storing the value of BI, right? Then I star BI. So we will take a multiplier that will take R1, R2 inputs and produces R3 as the product of AI and BI, right? Now CI is taken by a register R4 directly, and the adder is used for adding the content of R3 and R4 to find the R5, which is again the this instruction or this operation AI star BI plus CI. So R4 R5 is the result, right? So you can see there R1 gets the value AI, R2 gets the value BI, input AI and BI, R3 gets the value R1 into R2, R4 gets CI, that is multiply input C3, CI, and R5 gets the value R3 plus R4, that is add CI to the product. So you will get the result. Now, what is 5-stage pipelining? It consists of 5 dedicated segments. These segments are, first we have to fetch the instruction. So it is known as instruction fetch unit. The result of this will be fed into the second segment, that is instruction decode unit. Again, the result of this will be fed to segment 3, that is operand fetch unit. Result of this will be fed to S4, that is instruction execution unit. And the result of this will be fed to write back unit, which is the 5th segment. So this is a 5-stage pipelining. This example is of 5-stage pipelining. So you can see how pipelining is done and helps. Now this is superscaling. In superscaling, we can have more than one pipelining in order to increase the throughput and achieve faster execution. So we can involve more than one pipeline in superscaling so that our output or execution time becomes more efficient. It becomes more fast, right? Now CISC and RISC processor to execute one instruction per cycle. Their performance can be improved with superscaling architecture. Now you know that CISC and CISC processor, they execute generally with one instruction per cycle. But we can improve their performance by using superscaling. How? We can add multiple instruction pipelines in that, right? So multiple instructions are issued for execution cycle, for execution per cycle, right? So multiple results are generated per cycle. You can see this example. This is a dual 5-stage pipeline with a common instruction fetch unit. So the instruction fetch unit is common for this pipeline. There are 2 pipelines, right? Both are 5-stage pipelines. This is the stage 1, and these are having, this is common in common to the both pipelines. This is pipeline 1, this is pipeline 2. So these are segments of pipeline 1: instruction decode unit, operand fetch unit, instruction execute unit, and write back unit. This is pipeline 1. This is pipeline 2. Getting the input from instruction fetch unit, it decodes the instruction, it fetches the operand, then it executes the instruction and then write back the result. So this is a dual 5-stage pipeline with a common instruction fetch unit. This can be depicted here also. This is another example of superscaling. Here we have instruction fetch unit that gives the output to instruction decode unit, which is again give the input to its output to operand fetch unit. Now here we are dividing this task into number of functional units where the execution is done actually. So this is the task is divided into number of units: ALU, load, store, floating point, etc. These are five units. The result of all these will be given to the write back unit, and this will be stored. So this is known as superscaling.